Good morning, second grade boys and girls. My name is Loice Byler, and all the little boys and girls would call me Mrs. Byler. I work at the Refugee Center at Reynolds Middle School. Do you know who is a refugee? Well, refugees are people who move from their country and move to other countries because there was fighting in their country and people could not agree, or some people were telling others you can't worship like that, so they left their country. Some other times bad things happen like earthquakes and people have to leave their countries. So Lancaster is a very welcoming place, and a lot of people come here and they make this their home. So they are new Americans. You might have some even in your class or even in your school. Let me tell you a little bit about the Refugee Center from where I work. It is at Reynolds Middle School, and at that center, we have another lady who works with the students who come from Arabic countries. They're usually Muslims, and they wear a covering. The women wear a covering. Maybe you've seen them, even the boys and girls in your school. And she helps them with language, communicating, the boys and teachers, and the teachers with parents. And then we have somebody else who helps the boys and girls who come from Asia, like they speak Gujarati or those Indian languages, and he helps them navigate in your school and in Lancaster City, our welcoming community. And then we have two people who work with boys and girls who come from Costa Rica and Brazil and Mexico. All those people sometimes need somebody to help them with language. And we have two people who help those people. We have somebody else who helps people who speak French. Maybe they come from Haiti, and he helps those boys and girls be comfortable and find their way around our schools here in Lancaster.
I'm Mrs. Rawleigh. I teach at Burrowes Elementary in the School District of Lancaster. I have the privilege of teaching all kinds of instruments as well as how to sing. Today I'm going to be presenting to you one of the most interesting drums that comes from the continent of Africa. Many of the countries in Africa have special drums. You'll see behind me here the conga drum from the Congo. But the udu drum is from Nigeria. It's made out of clay, and when it was first made, only the women were allowed to use it. And they played it by covering this hole here. Listen for the low sound and listen for the high sound. In addition to making beautiful sounds, you'll also see that the udu drum has really pretty decorations. Most of the instruments we have from all over the world are also designed for their beauty. Today, while Mrs. Byler is reading to you, make sure you're listening for the udu drum and its low sounds and its high sounds.
Today, I'm going to read you a book about a boy who was a refugee. This book is yours to keep and take home for your very own. This book is being given to you by the Lancaster Education Foundation through gifts from many generous donors who contributed to the Hooked on Books program. Give them a cheer and say thank you. All right, are you ready to read? Get comfortable. We are going to read Tani's New Home. And the book is written by Tanitoluwa, Adewumi. Ooh, that's quite a mouthful, isn't it? But we're going to read this book, and I hope you can enjoy the book. When you open the first part of the book, it says this book belongs to, put your name right there. In a home that felt as secure as a castle, in a fine neighborhood in Nigeria, Tani Adewumi lived with Dad, Mom, and his big brother Austin. Their home was usually quiet and calm until grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins crowded inside. Tani gobbled pounded yam and gluggled egusi soup. His great uncles tapped the udu drums. Mom and her sisters danced until the street vendors called, Ekaru! Good morning! One day, Dad returned home early from his print shop. His hands trembled. What is it? Mom asked. Some men from a terrorist group called Boko Haram had ordered Dad to print posters with messages of hate. Dad had snuck away from his shop, but now the whole family was in danger. Boko Haram hurt people who disagree with them. Tani's family packed everything and Dad sped across Nigeria. 6 hours later, he steered through an opening in a tall wall. Tani peered at the unfamiliar house. Dad bolted the door. Mom yanked the curtains closed. But Austin made Tani feel safe. I've got a great game, Austin said. Chess! He sketched lines on a sheet of paper. Color every other square. Tani worked his crayons side to side as Austin scissored another paper into pieces. Then they moved the paper pieces across the homemade board. Tani didn't understand the rules, but he liked taking turns. One morning, Tani awoke to see a chair wedged across the front door. Marks in the wooden door, cracks in its frame. Boko Haram had found them. They had tried to break in. We are going to America, said Dad. Tani's heart thrummed like an udu drum. What does America look like? You'll see, said Dad. A few days later, Tani climbed into a real airplane. They flew for hours, slipping farther and farther from home. At long last, they boarded a bus to New York City. Tani's eyes widened. The city shone as bright as day all through the night. In Nigeria, lights sometimes went dark for weeks. Wow. In a brick building, Mom and Dad filled out piles of paperwork for a place to live. Tani dozed on a bench. When Mom finally shook him awake, Tani bounded onto a bus that took them to a homeless shelter. They stared up at the building. Thank you, God. Tani smiled ear to ear until he saw their new place. His parents lived in a teeny room on the 4th floor. Tani and Austin lived in a teeny room on the 5th floor. 2 narrow beds, a dresser, a window. This is a room, not a home, Tani said. Outside, cars beeped and screeched. Someone screamed. City sounds were the same in Nigeria. Still, he wished his parents were down the hall as they would always been. Tani started a new school that had a number instead of a name. PS 116. New faces surrounded him. Most kids smiled, some whispered. Finally, the bell rang for lunch. Tani's stomach growled. He craved the sting of habanero pepper on his tongue and the spicy steam of jollof rice in his nose. Instead, gooey stuff called cheese covered everything. Cheeseburgers, cheese pizza, macaroni and cheese. Ike! Then Tani went to a new kind of class, chess. But this chess was not like Austin's game. Tani learned how pawns, rooks, and knights move. He learned that the queen is the most powerful piece. Tani imagined capturing another player's king to win a game. Coach Sean said, Sometimes neither player can win. A tie in chess is called a draw. After school, Tani raced to ask if he could join the chess club. Mom stared at the sidewalk. The cost was too much. But Mom said, let me see what I can do. One day, Mom burst into Tani's room. You can join the chess club. We can't afford it, he said. Mom explained that she had emailed Coach Russ, who ran the club. She told Coach Russ that they lived in a shelter. We don't have to pay anything. Tani bounced into Mom's arms. Thanks. In chess club, Coach Russ said, the people who do the best in chess are the ones who work the hardest. Tani nodded. Chess wasn't about where you lived or what you owned. Chess was about hard work. Tani was hooked. He taught Austin to play the right way. They practiced each day, and their room felt a little less cramped. Weeks later, Tani played in his first tournament. He drew the first 2 games and lost the third. He scored the lowest out of all the players. Chess was hard. The next day, Tani remembered Coach Russ's words. The people who do the best in chess are the ones who work the hardest. He sat at the front in the chess club. He studied famous players. He played hundreds of chess puzzles. He challenged everyone to a match. Tani competed in more tournaments. He even won some. His score climbed higher and higher. 1 year later, Tani qualified for the state championship. 6 matches, 2 days, the best chess player in New York. Zip! Tani whooshed his rook across the board and smacked the clock to start the timer. Zing! Suddenly, his challenger swiped his knight. Tani gulped. Do not rush. He made his face as calm as a mask. He would play like a king, 1 move at a time. Finally, Tani won the game. Then he won the second game and the third. The next afternoon, while Tani waited for his last game, he heard someone say, all Tani needs to do is draw. He had already scored more points than his opponent. If they drew, they would each get half a point. Tani would be the champion. His heart pounded like 1,000 Odu drums. Pieces battled on the board. Rook forward, pawn captured pawn, knight up and over, rook to the side. Tani sat tall. I'm going to win. He concentrated hard. His brain ached. Then he blundered. His mistake gave the other player a chance to win. Unless... Tani gazed into his opponent's eyes. I offer a draw. Would the kid accept? Tani's insides quivered as the clock tick, tick, ticked. At last, his opponent nodded. Coach Russ swung Tani into the air. You are the New York State champion. Teams high-fived him. I am so proud, Mom said. A reporter heard about Tani. Headlines cheered. This 8-year-old chess champion will make you smile. A homeless 8-year-old is now a New York chess champion. People around the world reached out to Tani and his family. They wanted to help. A stranger donated a car. Another gave Tani's family a surprise, an apartment of their own. Although the apartment was mostly bare, Mom and Dad invited everyone over for a Nigerian feast. Their friends weren't grandparents or aunts or uncles or cousins, but they were family all the same. Tani scrambled around the rooms. I have a home. Boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed and liked this book as much as I did. If you'd like to read along with this book at home, just go to the Lancaster Education YouTube channel, as it says right here in front of the book. Enjoy your reading, second graders.